Thank you. Got it. We're going to be discussing a number of things on the agenda, but our major point is that we're going to have a report by the Mrs. Deborah Wallace, Miss Deborah Wallace, Vice President, Administration, Cal State Dominguez Hills, and she will discuss the college's new construction projects and future plans. Before we get started, I'd like to say that the Carson Chamber of Commerce supports the college's new construction projects and future plans, infrastructure, student housing, public and private housing projects, parking structures, very important, a retail center, and the business park developments. The adoption of the implementation of the California State University's campus master plan will be positive for the Carson community. We look forward that we all develop a sustainable economic future for the city of Carson by all of us working together. Business, citizens, academia, which is our college, and also our church communities. I'll call for the beginning of the meeting. Let's do a roll call. Barry, who's all here? Well, I see we have myself, Barry.
So I'm Barry Wade, I'm the President and CEO of the Chamber. Let's see, how about if I just call people off and they can introduce themselves. So if you want to unmute yourself real quick here, everybody. So Ralph Felix.
Sure. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Ralph Felix. I'm Operations Manager with the California Water Service Company, which is your local utility purveyor.
Thanks, Ralph. And Richard Chang, our Chairman.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Richard Chang, founder of Premier Printing and Graphics. Been in the city of Carson for almost 30 years and currently board chair of the Carson Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. And we have Lena.
Oh, yes. Can you guys hear me? I'm not sure whether or not I'm unmuted. I'm okay? Yep. Okay. Lena Whitaker with Magnificent Events. I'm the Vice Chair Special Events for the Carson Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks, Lena. Amy?
Hi, I'm Amy Leong. I'm the office manager here in the Chamber office.
Thanks, Amy. Deborah, our speaker today.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Deborah Wallace. All my friends call me Deb. I'm the Vice President of Administration and Finance, Chief Financial Officer for the campus. Good to see everyone.
Thank you. And Clyde.
Good morning, everyone. Like Ralph, I'm from California Water Service. I am part of the engineering department in our capital delivery group. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Good to have you here. Tanya.
Good morning. Thank you. Tanya Cook. I am the internship advisor for the College of Business and Public Policy there at Dominguez Hills.
Wonderful. Taylor from Norms.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Taylor Roll. I work for Norms Restaurants. I am their director of catering, as we just started a new catering endeavor, and I'm also a part of the Carson Leadership Program. So here to learn more about the wonderful city that we have a restaurant within, and excited to network a little bit with everybody.
Well, and speaking of leadership, Carson, we have Christine.
Christine.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Christine Saavedra, SA Recycling.
And let's see, Latoya from City Hall.
Good morning. My name is Latoya Butler, and I am the Economic Development Liaison for the City of Carson.
Forget liaison, she's the whole Economic Development Department. But anyway, right? We have Ed Apodaca from over at the hotel.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. Ed Apodaca, General Manager at the DoubleTree by Hilton Carson. Glad to be here today.
Thank you. Diana.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Diana. I'm with the Boys and Girls Club of Carson. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships and also part of Leadership Carson this year.
All right.
Thanks, Diana. Samantha.
Samantha?
I see she's unmuted herself, but I'm not hearing anything. Well, we will come back to you. Ray.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ray Aldridge. I'm the chairperson of the City of Carson's Economic Development Commission.
Emma, for all the way from down the street here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm from Fresh and Meaty Burgers Carson. I'm one of the owners there, and we've been in the area for about 3 years now. And in LA, we've been there for 31 years.
There you go. I know. I just had a good burger from their senior double burger.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Next up, we have Nitra, also from the university.
Good morning, Barry. Hello, everyone. I'm Mitra Avery, the Executive Director of the Foundation at Cal State Dominguez Hills.
And a fellow Rotarian, I might add, as is Chris Childers, who is still connecting. So I will introduce Chris from the Cott Company. So good to have you with us as well, Chris. So Samantha, did you want to introduce yourself? Or you want to be incognito?
She's on mute again.
Yeah, I never had that problem. Oh, wait, I do every day. We all have that. This is, someday we will not be saying you're on mute. That phrase will be something that younger people go, what does that mean? Like, oh, well, back in the day. So
Well,
back to you, Mr. Stewart.
Yes, I'm your chairman. I'm Michael Stewart. I'm chair of the Economic Development Committee. I'm also president of M&B Associates, a land use consulting firm, and also president of M&B Communications and Land Use Incorporated, which is basically a representation lobbyist firm. I'm looking forward to hearing our report today. Basically, our whole emphasis is to showcase Carson. That's our vision, showcase Carson. We want to show what we have here, where we're going, and what we're trying to do. Our methodology is information, acquiring knowledge and facts. Get the information to our business community and to our community. Supply aspiration, desire for advancement. We don't want to just stand still. We want to advance our community, and that's what this is all about. And also, we want to inspire leadership for growth. Leadership means leadership from the bottom, the middle, and the top. And we feel that with our leadership group, we even have a committee designed for Leadership Carson. And that's what the Carson Chambers is all about. I am pleased to have Deborah Wallace, Vice President, Administration, Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. She will discuss the college's new construction projects and future plans. I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. We want to put our shoulder to the wheel of the business community with our college. We look forward to hearing this report. Deborah, are you ready to give us your report?
I am.
Thank you.
I am going to, I believe I can share with the group.
Yeah, I made you a co-host,
possible?
so you should be a co. And by the way, let me, since Samantha's microphone wasn't working, so let me read this, which she put in the chat. Let's see, her name's Samantha Meza, and she's the business specialist for IKEA Carson. I work with business customers here to provide a great shopping experience for small and large businesses by placing orders via email and phone, as well as space planning, designing for new or existing businesses, and looking forward to being able to support the new businesses in our community. Thanks for being here, Samantha. Okay, Deborah, you are clear to go.
So before I even get started, I just wanted to say thank you to President Wade and Chair Stewart for allowing me to come and share some information with you today. I will try to be as expeditious as possible. I know we don't have a whole lot of time today, but if I sound very passionate and excited about what is happening on Dominguez Hills, it's because it is genuine. There is so much going on. So I have a few slides that I want to share with you all. We have just come off of our grand opening celebration. I know a lot of you were there. I saw a lot of you. So thank you so much for attending. I see Tanya's on today. I believe Tanya could do this presentation probably better than I can because she's in one of those new and exciting facilities. Nitra Avery as well, our executive director of the foundation. We brought her on last year and her feet have not hit the pavement. She has been running and changing the game so far with respect to what is happening with our foundation. So with that, I would like to share, let me see if I can get this up and run a presentation. Are you all seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
And how is it rendering? I will put it in slide mode, but let's see how is that working for everyone?
There, that's perfect.
Okay, so again, good morning, everyone. I think I have about 18 slides that I'm going to go through relatively quickly and hope we have, if you have some questions and answers there or some questions that I can provide information for you at the end, hopefully we'll have some time for that. But we're going to run through really quickly what is happening on the campus with respect to the construction as well as some new projects that we're beginning to work on. And we are quite busy on the campus. So again, thank you this morning for allowing me a little bit of time to share some information with you.
And you know, you're the star of the show this morning, so you take as much time as you need, because this is so vitally important.
This is vital, and we're very much want to hear as much of the details and the steps that you're going to be taking in the near future, in the mid-range, and the long term, because we got a lot of things we need to do to work with you about.
Yes, there is a lot of work to be done, and I have no doubt that we will continue a wonderful partnership, and I am certainly going to need support moving forward over the next, definitely the next year or so, as we begin to crank up some of these projects that we have on campus. But before we just really dive in, I think it's as equally as important to kind of share where the campus is right now. We are definitely growing. But before that, I just wanted to share an overview, and some of you have heard some of these facts and data, but I think it's important to share the trajectory of the campus as far as where we are with our student population and demographic, and as we begin to build out the campus and support the community. So we have right now we're hovering around 17,800 students, total students. And if you know the campus 10 years ago, for the past 10 years, we have just been growing exponentially. We're probably one of the fastest growing CSUs. For those of you that are not really familiar with the CSU, we are one of 23 campuses. There are about 5 of the campuses that are located in Southern California, and we're probably growing at a phenomenal rate, even more so than the other campuses that are located in Southern California. And I'm going to tell you probably some of the reason why, the attributions around that in just a minute. But for the 1920 academic year, which begins for us in July and of every year and ends the following June, we had over 38,000 students apply to the university. And I understand that that number is growing as well as far as the applicants that we're getting in. 54%, almost 55% of our students are first gen, and the CSUDH serves one of the highest percentages, and I think this is very important, of first gen college students in the CSU. So that number provides us additional support from our chancellor's office, from the federal government as well. When CARES Act money came down the pipeline, we were able to receive some additional monies because we proudly serve our first generation. We have a high percentage of Pell eligible students on our campus. And we also are serving a lot of those students whereas, CSUDH is becoming their first choice. We have over 100,000 alumni worldwide. That's an amazing statistic. And it's also a fun fact to know that 60% of those alumni live within a 25-mile radius of the campus. So a lot of our students stay in the area. They're working here, they're playing here, they're supporting the tax base in the city of Carson. And I think that's very important. I kind of wanted to give you a kind of a look-see of where we have been over the past 5 years as far as our growth is concerned. As you can see back in 2015, and you can see again this exponential growth, we were a little over 14 and a half students, 14,635 students. And as you can see in 2020, and we are updating our numbers for 2021, they're hovering around the same as far as what we call our head count. That is our number of students, that is our bodies that are actually on campus. So as you can see, that number has grown by leaps and bounds. And again, I believe that is attributed to the growth, not only the physical growth and the physical things that we're doing on campus, but also the programming, the excellent programming that is happening over in like Tanya's college and things like that. And we're going to show you some of that in just a moment. I believe also, again, a lot of what we're doing, as you can see, we've in 3 national magazines, CSUDH has very high rankings in Business Insider. In the Business Insider magazine, we were ranked 14th in the nation in its list of the 24 campuses with the best return on investment. So this again is very attractive to students, is when they come in and they say, I want to make Dominguez Hills as our first choice for attending a 4-year university. Washington Monthly in 2020 ranked us as achieving 21st in the Masters University rankings and 14th. Again, best bang for the buck. So again, that return on investment is very important for students right now, considering how much the privates are charging right now. We won't talk about the university down the street that has the same colors, but I think we're just a better bang for the buck. My husband might get a little upset with that, considering he's a SC grad, but anyway, we won't.
You mean the other one I work for that pays so incredibly well that I got it. Don't worry. Hey, I got a 2% raise. 4 years ago, I got a 2% raise.
I hear you. And then this last statistic, Money Magazine, and Money Magazine, well-known, placed CSUDH 49th in the publication specialty category for best public colleges, and 74th overall in the nation in its annual ranking of best colleges in America. So as you can see, we are trending in a good direction as far as being nationally recognized as far as the programming and the things that we're doing, even from an extracurricular standpoint. And I'm going to talk about one of those exciting things in just a moment. As far as what I was just alluding to, our institutional and curriculum development, we have just been, as of last year, got the full 10-year WASC university accreditation. That is the maximum that a university can receive. And we were able to receive that a little over a year ago. And that was attributed to, again, the things that the colleges are doing, the quality of education that we're providing for students is certainly within that WASC report. And Tanya has a lot to do with this, but our college, what is affectionately known as our CBAP, which is our College of Business Administration and Public Policy, earned their AACSB accreditation, which is huge. It is a huge draw for those students that are getting their degrees and their MPAs and their public policy degrees. And also their accounting degrees, their taxation degrees. To have that accreditation on our books was amazing. That is also a recent accreditation that we got last year. We're also instituting new undergraduate degree programs in Women's Studies and Asian Pacific Studies. We're opening up new graduate degree programs, for examples in system engineering. And I was talking with a colleague about that this morning in our science department, and also cybersecurity. We're opening up graduate degree programs there. First professional doctorate degree in occupational therapy, which is coming fall of 2023. As you know, it takes a couple of years to build out those programs, but we are going to have one of those programs. It's not that many of these in the state. I think there's like 2 in California. I believe San Jose State has one, another CSU, but these are few and far between. I believe we already have a very strong waiting list for that program. We're also, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later on in the presentation, but we also have a new co-curricular esports program lab that's going to be opening in 2021. So that's an exciting report that I'm going to talk a little bit more about as we talk about the new spaces on campus. We are also, through some of that programming, making a difference in our community as we begin to engage with our community. I wanted to provide just a couple of pictures about some of the exciting things that we've been doing, even through this pandemic that we've all had to struggle through. As you can see that picture up there, the gentleman in the lab coat is one of our, what we call our SIZE program. He's working in that program. Our SIZE program stands for our Center of Innovation and STEM and Science and Engineering program. We have some mobile fabrication labs that were donated through a generous grant through Toyota on the campus. We have 5 of those mobile labs that actually go around. They're fabrication labs. They absolutely go around to our elementary school, our middle school, and our high schools, and they actually engage the community and those students, and they do presentations on fabrication. As you can see, this gentleman in this picture is actually fabricating face masks. So we were able to do that directly in our fabrication lab here on the campus, and we were able to give those to the local area hospitals and medical providers that were providing face shields and things to individuals that were working in some of our healthcare facilities during this pandemic. So that's just one of the many areas where we're touching the community and making sure that we are not only in the community, but of the community and making a difference. This next shot, of course, is of a food distribution that we did. Some of those products that you see in the bags, like the fresh vegetables and things like that, were actually grown here on our campus. We have a small organic farm that's on the campus that is run by our sustainability committee, and we were able to give, I know a couple of times, over 1,000 bags of fresh vegetables and food to those that were in need during the community, especially during this pandemic. That's just a shot down there of our president, who is definitely helping us transform this space. For those of you that don't know, Dr. Thomas A. Parham is our president. He came to the campus a little over 3 years ago, and he's already just transformed the campus in a phenomenal way. He's out there in the community. If you haven't heard him speak, he's a very charismatic and dynamic speaker, and he is out there trying to engage with the community and make sure that we are doing those things that are going to help the campus transform. These are some of our students from one of our programs called our SLICE program. They are working with some of our healthcare providers in the city and surrounding areas and providing that support that is necessary while also receiving their education in one of our nursing programs. So just a lot of support there. And that last picture, of course, in my right on hand corner is a vaccination clinic that we ran with the partnership of Rite Aid. We did 4 of these clinics. Our most recent one was last month, and we were able to get a little over 1,000 or so people vaccinated through that program. So again, just a lot of support that we're providing in the community and working with the community to provide support during some of these challenging times. So now is where it gets really exciting, that those other fun facts were as exciting, but just wanted to give you kind of an overview of the campus. And we're going to talk about really quickly just some of our new buildings. But when you look at it, how it's transforming from drone footage, you can see that the building that is currently finished, and it's up in my right-hand corner, which is our, I'll circle that for you, which is our innovation and instruction building. Our other new building over here is our science and innovation building. And then we're going to talk about our 506-bed new residential dormitory style living learning community that we just put up. But I will touch on really quickly the spaces. We're just really fine tuning a lot of our spaces on campus. The campus, as you know, there's some buildings on the campus that are quite old. We're doing some major renovation projects on the campus. We're renovating our pool on campus, which is in serious need of renovation. We received a $2 million infusion from the state of California to do that work. We're also working on a major walkway project that is going to be a little over $3 million. We're renovating our gym on campus. There is just a lot of projects going on. I know last year our portfolio in the team that I have oversight over, which is our capital planning and development on campus, we had a portfolio of over $285 million that we were working on simultaneously. So needless to say, the team has been quite busy. So these are just shots just a few days ago, October 15th. Again, a lot of you, just thank you for coming and supporting the campus. We had just a wonderful, when I say wonderful, experience with celebrating the opening of 4 new spaces on the campus. I'm going to go into depth on those in just a little bit, but it celebrated $200+ million transformation on the campus. These are just some shots from the grand opening just a few days ago. It marked the biggest transformation of the campus in more than a decade. I would probably say probably closer to 2 decades, because we really hadn't done any major, especially any academic buildings on the campus in the past 20 years. So it was a major event on campus. We had thousands of individuals that showed up from faculty, staff, students, the community, and I could just see the smiles on people's faces. And again, these are just some photos that just reflect the day, our esports incubation lab opening. And in that lower corner shot, you'll see our president, and we also had a visit from Joseph Castro. He is the CSU chancellor. So he came and visited. He also did gave wonderful remarks at the reception that we did for the grand opening. So he's engaging with some of our students in one of our labs, and in our SCIES lab, which is located in our science and innovation building. And the students were just excited to see him come and present that, just see what was going on in those buildings. So again, these are just shots of our new spaces on campus. In my opinion, I think they're beautiful shots, but I honestly do not believe they do all of the justice with those facilities. Our first, we'll talk about that one really quickly, which is our Innovation and Instruction Building, which is a 4-story, 107,600 gross square footage, $84.5 million project on the campus. It has been completed. We moved folks in on the 18th. Of this week, was that last week? We started moving folks into that facility, and we are looking at having a spring opening for students to actually populate that facilities. But we have our sponsored programs over in that facility. That facility also has a 250-seat theater in there. Which is a beautiful auditorium, which has state-of-the-art equipment in there, which we will be using as lab space sometimes. We also have a cafe in that area, and we're going to be looking, probably Nitra can probably talk about this better than I will, because her area is responsible for catering on the campus. So we're looking at engaging with a partner to go into that space and maybe, you know, have a nice space in there where you can go and grab a sandwich, maybe some coffee and things like that. But it is a beautiful facility. And maybe if I get to do another presentation, we'll kind of walk you through that space virtually if we can. But that is just a really nice space. There's classrooms, there's labs, there's maker spaces. We have a simulator trading room there with, there's going to be, so it will simulate a smaller version, if you will, of Wall Street, excuse me. Tanya can probably talk about that space better than I can. But again, our College of Business and Public Policy will be housed in this beautiful facility. And again, it's open and ready for business. Our next building is our Science and Innovation Building. That building basically houses our science, and all of our STEM programs are housed in that building. It is a 3-story, 91,000 gross square footage facility. It cost us a little over $68 million to build. We were so fortunate to partner with Toyota and receive a very generous grant, which is where I just talked about our size laboratory is housed in this facility. And it is a STEM facility. Let me tell you, state of the art. Our students are doing fabrication in there. They're doing a lot of hands-on work in there. We are having students from our local elementary schools, our high schools come and visit this on a daily basis. And they're actually getting an opportunity to work with some of the students in those laboratories and do some fabrication on the state-of-the-art 3D printing devices that we were lucky enough to get some support for. So that has a myriad of classrooms, faculty office space in that building, and it is just a beautiful space. Our last building, of course, is the Residential Living and Learning Community. It is the first of its kind on our campus. As you all may know, the only other spaces that we had for student residential life on our campus was supported by two phases of buildings that were built for the '84 Olympics on the campus, so that they came in and did some training. So the Olympics built those buildings for us. Technically, they were never supposed to be converted to residential living. So from '84 till 2021, we had not built any other residential living on campus, but our president is a huge proponent of keeping our students on campus. So this is the reason why we wanted to do this dormitory style living, learning community on our campus. This is a 506 bed, 4-story residential living. There is a 1-story commons area where students can congregate. There is a nice large pool table in that space. There's a nice large fireplace where students are doing a lot of that communal living and learning. the residents assistants. I often see them having meetings in there. So it's just a really nice space for the students to congregate. There are kitchenettes for our students on the first and third floor of the residential living. And it's just a really nice communal space for our students. We are hoping, we're crossing our fingers. We have recently closed on a grant that we have filled out for the federal government. We're hoping to do a phase 4 of this facility real soon. So I'm crossing my fingers that we will get that grant for $100 million to do some additional building on the campus for residential living and learning. If Nitra were taking part in this presentation, she'd also tell you that we're looking at a dining space to support this new dormitory as well. So we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But these are the 3 new exciting spaces as far as physical spaces on campus. Our 4th, of course, is our esports renovation. It is an incubator lab. And we believe passionately, I should have put that word there in front of that our esports incubator lab is not only a strategy, it's not only an outcome, but it's also a strategy and an outcome. It's centered around 4 pillars: academics and research, community engagement, competition, and entertainment. When folks hear the word esports, they just go, wow, is this just students sitting in front of computers and engaging in competition? And we say absolutely not. These students are also working with interdisciplinary programs. They're also learning how to code. They're also learning how to run businesses. They're also learning how to develop programming around gaming and things like that. So it's not just competition. These are the 4 strategies around our esports lab. It is a newly renovated space in our new part of our Arcane library. It's over 1,900 square feet. It's going to be a state-of-the-art lab where students can go in. There's a communication space within that lab where students can actually go in, learn how to operate very sophisticated equipment around communications and gaming. We are planning to open that space at the end of this year. So it is being constructed as we speak. So that kind of covers our new spaces. What I'd like to delve into just a little bit is where we're looking kind of in the future and what we're looking at right now as far as building out these spaces. As you all know, this is our university master plan. I have one right behind my head, and I keep that up and I put it there intentionally so I can look at it all day long. I can just remain focused and have a targeted approach on where we want to take this campus, specifically over the next 5 to 10 years. This master plan that I'm showing you right now up on the screen is our build out approach to 2035. So our master plan got approved by the Chancellor's Office in 2019. So it's just a couple of years old. So we are, again, beginning to transform that space. As you can see up here, this is where our innovation and instruction building is. We're also going to have new we're looking at other academic buildings that we're going to be building on the campus. That is also within our plan. We're working with our Chancellor's Office to get those spaces built out. But I'm going to share with you some of the details of this moving forward. I think too, last time, before I jump ahead really quickly, one of the questions that came up in a recent meeting that I was in with Mr. Aldridge is some parking on campus. So as you can see in these gray areas, that's where we're going to be doing potentially some structures on the campus. Can you all see this really well?
No, can you make it larger?
Let's see if we can make it just a little bit larger. Let me see what I can do here without messing this up too bad. Let's see.
The challenge is it's a big university.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how I can.
Can we make it a bigger on our side, Barry?
No, we don't have any control over that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can.
Yeah,
And
it's just,
actually, I have
a
this
challenge.
odd screen too. I have this curved screen, and it doesn't render the best for screen sharing, but and I apologize for that, but that's kind of what we have there. But if you'll see in our, and I'll send this presentation to you all so you can have it at your leisure to kind of go through some of these. But these gray areas that I'm running my cursor around are areas that we're talking about upgrading some of our parking on campus and putting some potential structures. Some of these are existing spaces, especially right here where I have my cursor. This is our lot 4 space. So we're talking about incorporating a structure there to help us. It's actually going to help out with our partners that we share space with over here with our AEG partnership, because we share a lot of the parking with them. So I met with Katie on Monday, Katie Pandolfo, as a matter of fact, on Monday, and we talked about we can probably get started on some of the parking structures on campus. But that'll kind of give you an overview of what we're looking at for parking, because we do need to upgrade some of that space as we get ready to build out this portion of the campus. Okay. So again, this just marks, this screen is just going to mark for us where our brand new buildings, we just put our brand new buildings on the campus. Of course, our innovation and instruction building, our residential living and learning community, and that's where our new science building is. So I kind of wanted to give you an idea of how this master plan is being built out. Moving forward too, I just wanted to share some really, really exciting good news with you all. In this most recent budget package that the governor signed in 2021, there was about $262 billion signed by Gavin Newsom in early July. A portion of that money was earmarked for CSUDH. It was the second largest infusion to a CSU. The Humboldt campus received about $433 million to convert their campus to a poly university, but in science and STEM education. But CSUDH received the second largest infusion of funds, which was a $60 million earmarked for 3 specific projects. And we also received a $1 million base allocation, and that base means that it's going to be recurring, because we had been receiving a pot of money from the state of California to run our Dimely Institute on campus. So it was very exciting for us to advocate for $1 million in ongoing funding for that over the life of this institute. So that was very exciting. But moving back to the $60 million that was earmarked, it was allocated and provides seed money for some very exciting projects on the campus. The first project, and we have already started on this project, is a $20 million toward a brand new electric switch yard on the campus. Now, from a person that has oversight over facilities of a large university, this for me may not be the sexiest project, but it is the most transformative. And when I say that, because our electric grid on the campus and infrastructure on the campus will be 50 years old in a couple of months. And so we can't even get parts for some of the issues that we've had on the campus. But this new project is going to be in partnership with Southern California Edison. We're going to replace out all of the infrastructure on campus as we know it. We are actually going to have a switchover in 2024 when this project is going to be completed, because all of the infrastructure on campus will be fully upgraded. It's actually a $42 million project. The $20 million is a deposit, and that $20 million is probably going to cover all of the switch yard, but the additional $22 million is to do a full replacement of the infrastructure on the campus. It's also going to be very energy efficient. Right now, the old infrastructure, we're not energy efficient. I think our sustainability team and our energy management team has done a phenomenal job with what they have, but they are so excited about this project because they are about to just catapult this university into sustainability projects by leaps and bounds. And we also received an additional $3 million from the state of California also to kind of help with some of those projects. So just some remarkable things going on the campus. The second infusion of those is a $20 million towards construction of a new student residence dining hall. And Nitra is very excited about this project because she's working on a huge project on campus to engage with a third party. So because currently right now we are self-support as far as dining is concerned, our catering is all self-support. And so we are working with a couple of third-party vendors right now and going through the bid process. And we are engaging those partners to come and help us do some of that dining on the campus and catering. So Nitra's been very busy over the past couple of months trying to get that project kicked off so we can make sure that that is done by spring, because we are going to be fully, I'd probably say we're probably close to 87% back online as far as converting from virtual to going back to in-person instruction in the spring. We're a little over 27% right now, but when spring comes, we're going to be right back in the thick of serving students face-to-face. That last infusion of money, we also received $20 million as a down payment for a state-of-the-art health and wellness and recreation facility on the campus. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am about this one, because we are one of a few only campuses on campus that, in Southern California that does not have a health and wellness and recreation facility for our students. So we have kicked that project off. We are meeting with architects. We're getting ready to have meetings with the students and engage with the students on campus. We'll also need to engage with our community as far as scoping out that project. And the reason being is because there's going to be some labs within that facility, within this facility, that engages our community on health and wellness within our community. So we're looking at probably putting a small demo kitchen within that facility to kind of help with some of that. Also too, while I just thought about a demonstration kitchen, one of the very neat features in that new innovation and instruction building is a demonstration kitchen within that facility. And when I tell you it is state of the art, I would love to be able to go in there and prepare my Thanksgiving meals, but I don't believe our president is going to allow me to do that. But it is a very exciting space. And we had a chef come in and prepare the meals for the grand opening. So I left that fun tidbit out, but wanted to share that with you. So this is what we're looking at for the spaces that I just talked about. This is where our new expansion project, that new switch yard, will go, as far as where it's going to be rendered on our university master plan. We are talking about that expansion right behind where our central plant is located, which is right here on that map, right beside our library and our natural science and mathematics building. That is going to be our new switch yard, complete with all of our infrastructure upgrades. We're also doing a duct bank project, which is going to run off of Birchnall here. If you can see where my cursor is, a very sophisticated duct bank project, which is going to be underground, which is part of the reason why that price tag is so large, because we're going to go underground on all of those facilities, all of that conduit and things like that, so we can loop around our new residence hall, which is going to be a feeder for all of these projects on campus. Because in effect, we can't do any more build out on project until we do on the campus, until we get this new switch yard in place. Our new residence hall, of course, and our new dining complex is slated to go in this like I said, we're looking at a phase 4. So if we are fortunate enough to get a new residence hall, but we are looking at putting that dining complex on the probably the southeast side of that new residential complex that I just shared with you all. So the dining can be infused in that new facility. And this is where we're talking about infusing our new student recreation center. As a matter of fact, it's not rendered in this because this rendering is from 2019, but we're talking about looping that building around the gym so we can make use of this, as I talked about before, this pool renovation and also the gym, so the gym can share in this new recreation facility. So we're talking about maybe putting another L-shaped piece of that on this building here, on this original rendering. Okay. So that takes us to, what is our future build out looking like? This takes us to that right-hand side of the master plan. This is what we're talking about as far as building out University Village. It is a project of what we're calling our University Village as well as our business park. It is a phased mixed-use development. We're talking about approximately 2,000 market rate residential rental units adjacent to the central corridor of University Village. So let me see if I can show you here. So all of this we're talking about, this would be our business park infused in this University Village here. And as you can, as you will note, it just really immerses itself into the living, learning, and health and wellness space that we're talking about on the campus. Because again, here's where our central plan is, here's where our residential living is. So we will infuse those spaces, and we're looking at some additional apartment living for our senior students on the campus. We're also looking at approximately about a little over 94,000 square feet of retail on the ground floor. Again, I don't know if you visited areas like Pasadena where they have that living, where they have retail living on the bottom and they have the residential living on the top floors of those spaces. And that is what we're talking about as far as a build out there. We've dedicated approximately 33 acres for that business park right here, which is located off the top of Charles Willard here, which runs right into the campus and the bottom of Glenn Curtis Drive. So this would be our business park. And we've already garnered some interest. And again, this is where I will definitely need the support of this body to make sure we're having discussions about how do we develop this out. But again, we've already had some interest in some of these in this business park. Folks are saying, hey, when are you all starting to develop out that space? And we're saying, yep, as soon as we get in some of this infrastructure, we're going to be starting to have some serious discussion about building out that business park. We're also going to infuse a 1 acre, what we're calling a wellness park, right? Where we can begin to build off of the walking. We get a lot of people walking on the campus and within the community around the campus. So we want to put in a beautiful 1 acre park here. We've already seen some renderings where it can be just beautifully infused into the campus as well as this business park. So folks that are working here, again, we're turning this into a health and wellness community, turning this into a living, learning space where folks can get off of work, come over, do some walking, do their shopping, we're even talking about maybe a small, maybe movie theater where folks can come in and catch a movie on Friday, and those types of living, learning spaces. And student residence halls and apartments and faculty housing will also be integrated into the university here. So as you can see, we're talking about some retail space here and also talking about some apartments. There's going to be parking here, probably some above ground or underground structures here in some of these apartments that we're talking about putting here. What are some of the emerging trends? And I'm going to try to speed up this part of it because I want to see if you all have any questions. We're doing a lot of work with future forums on the campus, Dominguez Hills. As a matter of fact, Thursday, we're doing another future forum. We're talking about the future of electronic mobility. We're talking about the future of manufacturing, space commercialization, healthcare personalization. One of the other exciting projects that that hopefully I can be bringing to this group in a future meeting, if you all will have me back, is we're talking about a P3 development that we are currently considering on that, putting in, and I'm going to back up really quickly because this is an exciting space. So right beside our innovation and instruction building, we are toying with the idea right here of infusing a medical office space where Dominguez Hills can share some space with a medical office building. So we'd have, we wouldn't have emergency services there, but we'd have things where folks can come and do some lab work and things like that. And just, you know, having some doctors rent out some of that space here. So that's one of the facilities we're already working on. We have already worked with CBRE and they're finalizing a market study for us. But I want to come back to this group and talk about how we can make some of that happen. So where are some opportunities to engage even from this group? I know one of the things that Chair Stewart talked about is engaging with LA 28. We're having discussions with them, the city of Carson, also with our AEG partners. We're working with them. They want to, one of the areas that they definitely need support from Dominguez Hills is going to be housing. So they are very interested. And as a matter of fact, I've been working with our chancellor's office on an agreement with them for some housing in 28 when they come. They need a space to put athletes. So they're asking if they can use our brand new housing facility to do that. They actually need about 800, I think they need about 800 beds. And so we're working with them to see if we can accommodate some of that. We're looking at providing some meaningful internship opportunities for our students. This is where the chamber can certainly help us out with that. I'd love to have some discussions with this group about some businesses that might be interested in providing some internships for our students. We want to also talk about investing in our students in the university, input on industry changes that are happening. One email that I had to send last night was to a gentleman who was even inquiring about renting some or leasing or renting some space on the campus to alleviate some of the issues that we're having right now with the supply chain. So there's a lot of emerging issues and trends that are coming up within the supply chain that we also need to have some conversations about. And so he's like, what can the campus do to help us? I know you all have a lot of land. So we're having some of those conversations and some strategic planning and efforts, business and industry input on the strategic plan. We want to continue to hear your input as we certainly begin to develop that land that we just talked about, because the vast majority, I'd probably say 100% of that is going to require that we do P3 partnership to get that built out. The state does not give money for P3 partnerships. They will give us money for academic buildings and in support of student facilities, but the campuses are generally on their own to do some of that development. But we're one of the only campuses that has the fortune of a lot of land. So we're about on what, a little over 346 acres. So what are our next steps? We're currently working with the Chancellor's Office on a regular basis to assist with understanding the P3 process. This is new for them. As a matter of fact, what I just talked about, the medical office building, I've had to have several meetings with them because I don't think any of the other campuses has really engaged in putting up a medical office building, but the Chancellor's Office is really excited about this facility, considering there are various studies that demonstrate that areas like Carson, surrounding areas were just devastated by the pandemic, and we were disproportionately affected by the pandemic. So health and wellness is a huge topic for us. And as a university and an education institution, we want to see how we can make an impact there. We're leveraging the campus grants to improve sustainability efforts. I just talked about a little bit of this. We just got a $3 million grant from a partnership with Southern California Edison, as well as the state, to look at a maybe thermal energy project on the campus. We're also looking at reclamation projects on the campus. We just did a huge water reclamation project on the campus, and all of the grass that has been newly planted around our new innovation and instruction building will be watered with reclaimed water through a major project that we did on the campus. We want to continue to engage with industry partners to help align and set our curriculum, and we are trying to secure as many grants as we can to help us do a lot of that work. It takes a lot of the work to do that. I just had a meeting right before this meeting, and we just recently got a grant. We're going to do a light and photosynthesis lab within our brand new science and innovation building. So we got like a $500,000 grant to do some of those. But those are the kind of things we're working, even with the city of Carson. We just wrote a letter of support on a grant that they're working on. So I really want to be engaged with the community, and I know our president certainly does, and our provost, and trying to secure a lot of these funds to do some of these things. I am going to take a quick breath. If you have any questions, hopefully I didn't run over too much, Chair Stewart, but I will open the floor for questions.
We have, I'm gonna, we're gonna try to go take this meeting for another 20 minutes to get these questions in. One of my questions, of course, is infrastructure. You talked about electrical. What about your water infrastructure plans? We do have on our board your general manager of Cal Water, and he's right here with his engineer, and they want to wave at you. And we need to know about the water capacity, about the new pipes. Are you going to replace pipes you have? And my question is, what type of pipes do we have underneath our facility? You understand where I'm going?
Right.
I want to have that plan. You got your electrical coming in, but what about your water?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And Mr. Felix can probably address some of this better than I can. And I've just talked about reclamation, but we're doing a lot of work underground. We have and it's part of the master plan, but as part of our deferred maintenance, over the next 5 years, we're going to be doing a lot of work, and we're probably going to need Mr. Felix's and that team's help on some of this. But we're looking at probably an infrastructure upgrade on some of our underground systems as well. So, and we haven't engaged on that project because our deferred maintenance projects are generally funded by the state. So what happens with these is we have, they will put us on a priority list as far as those projects are concerned. And right now our water infrastructure is not what they call a life safety project. So that is on our list though, to do some infrastructure things. But as far as capacity is concerned, we are fine with capacity, even with build out, because again, I think the team has done a remarkable job in doing things like reclamation projects and things like that in order to help us not only save water, but also make sure that the infrastructure that we're using to run those water systems are up to par. So there is within the master plan infrastructure upgrades to address some of that, but we have not been funded for those, to be quite honest.
And thank you for that. As your water purveyor, our message to you is we're here to help. right? But whatever part of the phase you require Cal Water to help with, we're here to help. I brought one of our engineers today, just in case you had any questions, but it appears that at this point of of phase of your project, the water is not there yet. But as you're building new infrastructure, obviously we anticipate that new connections are going to be required.
Absolutely.
From the purveyor's end. But we're here to help. We know you have tight schedules. There's a lot of moving parts, but as the water purveyor and a community partner, we're just here to offer our assistance. I'll provide my contact information so that you have a direct contact, and your developers can either contact me, we can meet on site. But we're here to assist as member of the chamber. We're all here to help, and that's really the message that Cal Water wants to send and give and provide to the university. Anything you need, we'll do whatever we can on our end to assist. So.
By the way, that's the vice chair of this committee.
Yes, and we certainly appreciate that. All of the partners throughout the community. I mean, Southern California Edison, Cal Water, always wonderful partners. And I think this is part of our next steps too. We need to talk about what that could potentially look like as we start talking about, we know 93,000 square foot of retail space. What is that going to look like? So we definitely need to have some of those conversations. And I see that, Felix, the contact information there. So thank you for that.
Ray, do you have any questions? I want to hear your perspective. Barry, did he hear me? Ray?
I think he was unmuting. Is unmuting a word, by the way? I don't know. I wanted to think about
it. It is now. Right?
It is now. I'm getting acknowledgement from Ms. Whitaker there, so maybe we're okay.
Okay, I need you to ask these questions because we have her right here. My understanding on the construction and planning for the residential, will that only be limited to the students, or will that be other people who can move in? Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. No, within that, we are trying to infuse workforce development, a project with workforce development. So again, it's a planned living, learning community, and it will be not only students, faculty, staff, but again, as we develop that retail space around, you may have an individual that says, hey, I just love to walk to work in 2 minutes. So yes, that will be available for individuals that are not campus related to potentially live there.
That is very important. Yeah. And will you be looking at in that housing, and I'm gonna mute myself and let the rest of the crew come in, but will you be looking at the median income of people? My understanding is that if 50% of the location would be median income groups. Is that right, Barry? They come in and to take advantage of those dollars that are available for housing people.
Workforce development housing is certainly a big deal, and I know that the university has been concerned about faculty and staff housing, and that has been an issue for years, and that has interfered with their recruitment of good faculty who are coming from elsewhere, and they say, rent is how much for a 2-bedroom place? Or wait, there's nothing available right around the university. So that particularly that lack of affordable, that lack of any rental housing around the university has been an issue all along. And the university it suffers both in terms of the fact that it's a commuter campus and we don't have the facilities that for the students, but also that they don't have the ability to house workers there, and people have to commute. So there's further issues, but that's not just the university, but the university in particular suffers from that. I don't think most people realize how serious an issue it is.
It is a serious issue. We talk about it all the time. Hey, Nitra moved all the way from Alabama last year. And me, I basically have to commute as well. And there was just not any space to move that was close to the campus. So we ended up in an apartment closer to, kind of part-time, ended up in an apartment off of 190th, but it was just, you're right, President Wade, we just didn't have any, it was slim pickings. So I'm the first one to say, yes, I'm empathetic to that. So as soon as we can work with developers to get some of that done, I'm right there. Because
I'll tell you, I knew our rental housing crisis wasn't fixed when I was talking to the operator of the Chick-fil-A next door. So, he's obviously making a few bucks on that. He couldn't afford any of the rental units, the new buildings that we have around here. And they're all averaging about $3,000 a month.
Yep.
So, and I think, yes, I am officially old, but $3,000 a month is a lot of money. And, how much do you have to make for $3,000 a month to be affordable to you? Well, let's see, by the standard definition of about a third of your income going to housing, that means you need to be making $9,000 a month. So now we're at what $108,000 a year.
Mhm.
So that's a little bit of a push for most people.
Yep. Yeah, the grant that I spoke to with respect to the federal government, this grant, and I'm really, you all be thinking good thoughts for us, because it's really going to make a major impact if we can get another residential community constructed for our students, because Dr. Parham has a vision that, we do not want to be known as a commuter school. He feels like if the students are on campus and engaging and fully immersed in the extracurricular activities that are happening on the campus and things like that, we can retain them, they can learn better. And so that's kind of where we're moving with this. So I'm really hoping that we will get that grant. But one of the specific things within that grant was that it had to be affordable. And the federal government wanted us to look at the median housing rates within the area and use that as a base point as far as the way we wrote that grant. And so I'm hoping, because it's a huge issue for our students. They can't afford to live unless they get an apartment with 7 people living in there, and that's not conducive. Yeah, it's been a lot. And I've heard that. I've heard some students say, yeah, I share a space with 6 other students. And I said, what?
That's true.
In what, 800 square feet? Are you kidding me? So yeah, it's a huge issue. And I'm hoping that we can help resolve some of that bottleneck and some of that impact in the community.
Any other questions from any of our small business groups or our restaurants that are here? They're talking about a 94,000 square foot commercial center. Somebody, are you going to make an emphasis to go out to our own business community here and see how you could fit them in, and how any inducements for them?
Absolutely. We want to have those conversations. As a matter of fact, me and Nitra are going to meet after this meeting, and we're going to be talking about some of that, because we want to certainly engage the community. One of the questions that came up as we built out this new innovation and instruction building is, why don't we try to find a local coffee company or a place that serves coffee, and maybe have them come into that space? So that's not completely off the table, but that's one of the conversations that we're having. But we definitely want to engage with some local business owners, because that I think that's very important for us, especially minority serving the minority businesses in and around the community. That's also important for the president to make sure we're engaging with some of those.
Well, small businesses
on that.
Yeah, small businesses are here and ready to go. So we did a workshop last week for people in the construction industry, our local small businesses, with the proposed UCLA Harbor General Hospital redo, which is a huge project.
Yes.
And you know, and it's not just for the contractors, though. There's also opportunities for suppliers and for catering business. So Taylor, I think that I actually thought of you earlier on that, because they're going to need to do catering for so many different pieces of this as the project goes along. And so, and they would just as soon use local vendors for that, because local vendors understand the issue better. They can be there faster. They can deal with an issue, and close matters and time matters. And besides that, then they feel some ownership and connections. So, you know, that's really something very important to us. So Taylor says yes to that.
Yes,
So we always want to look at how we can do that. And in the past, let's face it, the university's been a little insular, a little inward looking, as has the city. And but that's the past. And where we are now, we know the university is outward looking. We know the city is outward looking. And we want to make sure that we can bring everybody together to get more done, because we have opportunities here that would be a shame to waste.
I see Sherry Rep there. Good morning, Sherry.
Nice to see everybody. And Deborah, thank you very much for your presentation. It's very exciting to see how the university has grown over the years. Just for background, I used to be the planning director for the city of Carson and actually served on the campus master planning committee quite a few years ago.
Okay.
So certainly leaps and bounds since the last time I was meeting with the university. But I do have a question for you in terms of your relationship with the city of Carson. Carson and the university sometimes have had walls and barriers between them, so they haven't been as collaborative as I think would be helpful for both of the organizations. But in terms of your growth and development, there are several areas of, I guess, questions and potentially concerns. One would be in terms of the environmental impact, whether or not the university is also looking at its traffic impacts, its interrelationship with the infrastructure that surrounds the campus. And then also for the city of Carson, they have recently adopted development impact fees that are charged to all of the local developers. And I'm wondering whether or not the university has been asked and or required to participate in those development fees.
Oh, those are great questions. Yes. So Sherry, I can share with this group that the city of Carson, as well as Dominguez Hills, just recently signed what we're calling a town and gown promise. This promise is slated to move us forward as far as engaging a little bit better, collaborating on these projects and things like this. As a matter of fact, I am in close contact with Sharon Landers, who's the city manager. We are meeting, I think we have a meeting scheduled for November. It's the first week in November, and we already have the agenda laid out. But part of that town and gown promise was that we would meet on a regular basis, preferably on a quarterly basis, and begin to review some of the projects that will impact both of us, the city as well as you know, the university. Part of the reason why we had to do the town and gown promise is that the city, I mean, let's just be honest here, the city wasn't real happy with the environmental impact report that the university put together. I wasn't here. I don't know all of the inner workings of what happened with the environmental impact report. And that environmental impact report was very specific about who would be responsible for some of those fees. For the most part, the campus should be responsible for any development fees that come out of any mitigation efforts that are going to happen. So me and Sharon have been doing a lot of talking about that and how they're going to impose some of those fees. We're still having conversation about that. We are currently working on an MOU to make sure that both sides know exactly what fees could potentially be charged as we begin to develop the campus. But I will say that the mayor, the council, the city manager, Landers, they have been nothing short of supportive as we begin to talk about how we're going to develop the campus. And I feel like we can even work through some of those issues that the campus develop with the mitigation fees and all of that, if there's going to be any mitigation fees as we begin to do the build out. So we're working through some of that. We're hopefully, as a matter of fact, that's on my agenda today, to have a conversation with our chancellor's office, because our chancellor's office also has to sign off on any MOU that we do with the city. So we're working with all three of those. I call it a trifecta, if you will, of folks that need to get on board and make sure that we are agreeing to this. But for the most part, in concept, I would say we're in agreement. If the campus is doing any development there, any associated fees, we would have to talk to the city about what that means. So that's my answer to the question. We haven't quite settled all of that, but we're working toward that end.
Well, thank you very much, Deborah, for your comments and sitting for questions. Really appreciate this information. We'll be getting back to you and making sure we work with a joint public-private partnership with our academic California State University, Dominguez Hills. Barry, could we do like a quick summary of your piece on the change from economic progress, some of the key points, and then we'll try to end our meeting in the next few minutes.
Well, let me just do one slide then. So which I'm a terrible academic if I only do one slide, but I'm just going to do one slide here. So let me see where I got. Here we go. Our population trends. So I just wanted to look at this one. So you're seeing population trends and key indicators?
Yes.
Okay, good sign. So I just wanted to talk about a couple of little things here as far as how our population is distributed. So, and this is talking about our nighttime population and not our daytime population. So
there's a difference, yes.
Yeah, let me back up and talk about that real quick. So this is the travel time to work for people who live in the city of Carson. And so I don't know if it's legible, but right down here, it says 10 to 14 minutes. Now, by my estimation of having been here many years, if you're going more than 15 minutes, you're leaving Carson. There's really not many points in Carson that aren't within 15 minutes of another point in Carson. So let's assume then that anything below this, which is what, about 20% of the people who live in Carson have a commute of less than 15 minutes. Everybody else has longer. So that means that most Carson residents don't work in Carson. Yet we know we have a lot of people in Carson who got to move this toolbar out of the way. We have a lot of people in Carson who, there we go, work here, but don't live here. So, and this is a constant thing that we need to be aware of because it changes how we deal with any of our marketing and recognizing that our daytime population is so large. So here I wanted to look at the age distribution. So you can see, you know, about 20%, 20%, 25, 20% between these four generations, baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Generation Z. So which is a really interesting distribution compared to the norm for the nation, that's a flatter group. A bit light in this area in Gen X. And I have another chart on that. Don't know if I'll have time to show it, but you can see here that our population has actually shrunk in the last few years. And the reason for that is not just a Carson thing. This is a regional thing and even national. As our median age goes up, the average household size drops. Why? People are having fewer children. And so that's why we can have more homes, yet less people total. And this has been, again, happening over many years. And so that's why we're seeing a contraction in the total population. And also, I think we can agree that $87,000 median household income is a pretty decent figure. And this wealth index here, that means compared to the nation overall, Carson residents are 22% wealthier than is typical. So that's a really interesting piece of data, I think. And then if just, let's see, let's focus on that a little bit, because that wealth index is partly based on the value of housing. And, you know, we don't have really good data on that because it's always in flux, but we know that number has shot up. We know Carson residents tend to be, by far, tend to be homeowners. And we've just talked about the lack of rental housing. So really interesting stuff here. And you can also see, as a typical community of LA, when construction was concentrated, was in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s is when the vast majority of housing was built in the city of Carson. And here you can see the median value is somewhere in the 700,000 range. And I can tell you that's probably low. It's I'm going to bet it's above that now. So just some interesting numbers to share with you. I'm always happy to dig through that. And, you know, next time I'll give you some more, because I have a whole bunch of slides queued up because I like this stuff. And I hope that you do too.
We do. Well, thank you, Barry, for that short synopsis. And in future meetings, we'll revisit those issues. Okay. All right, now, this is a very good meeting. Items of future discussion will be an update on the budget process for the city of Carson. The other one is the development of an infrastructure annual report. We would like to get involved with doing that. Is there infrastructure strike team? Is there infrastructure emergency funds already allocated? You don't have to go looking for it to go and deal with issues that as they occur for in infrastructure. So we're looking into that. I appreciate you all for attending this meeting, and we would like to curtail this meeting and end this meeting. Thank you for attending, and I hope we learned some things. And Deborah, thank you again, and Barry, thank you very, very much. All right, have a good day, and we'll be getting back to you about our future meetings. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. See you soon.